Today marks the 32nd anniversary of a tragedy that took place in the heart of China's capital, Beijing, the Tiananmen Square Massacre. In April 1989, tens of thousands of students started a peaceful protest in Tiananmen Square, calling for an end to corruption within the Chinese Communist Party and for greater democratic reforms. The protests ended in bloodshed about 2 months later, on June the 4th. The world watched in shock as troops marched in, armed with assault rifles and accompanied by tanks. They fired indiscriminately at the students. The Chinese state said nearly 300 people died, including soldiers, with another 5,000 wounded. But some say the death toll could be as high as 10,000. Till this day, nobody knows exactly how many lives perished in Tiananmen Square. Since then, there has been only one place in the world that has seen hundreds of thousands of the residents paying tribute to the fallen, year after year. That special place is Hong Kong. Earlier, I had the pleasure of speaking to Mr. Elmer Yuen, who is one of the top opinion leaders and commentators in Hong Kong. A father of 6 and at the age of 71, Mr. Yuen has a soft spot for young people. To the tens of thousands of his young followers, Mr. Yuen is affectionately known as Yuen Baba or Daddy Yuen. Mr. Yuen now spends most of his time in the United States, garnering support for young people in Hong Kong and urging the politicians in the West to stand up against the Chinese Communist Party. We spoke about the tragedy that happened 32 years ago, about the current standing of Hong Kong, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the pending fate of the Chinese Communist Party. Get ready for some explosive insights from Yuen Baba. I'm Sharon, and this is Straight Talk.
I was in Chicago when it happened because I have to go to the Consumer Electronics Show. It's always the first week of June. But anyway, they've been sitting in the Tiananmen Square for more than 2 months. And all they wanted is some representation in the government. They were not ready to overthrow the communist regime. But of course, the end result is China's decided to suppress them using military police or even using military. And thousands of people died. Nobody knows how many. You know, communists are very good in covering up, but nobody will ever know. Yeah. So the point is that particular demonstration is a very important, it's a turning point in history because after that, the entire Soviet bloc, the Eastern Bloc, Communist bloc, collapsed. Right. And then today brought about the freedom to the Eastern European people. Even Russia today, I go to Moscow very often, and they are quite democratic. I would say maybe 60% of UK, which is not too bad, because under communism they have zero. They have zero, maybe even negative when it comes to democracy. So, and then you look at the entire Eastern Europe. There's almost no difference from Western Europe. It's that was the turning point. China is like that particular Tiananmen incident was the catalyst. And even in Asia, many countries became democratic. Even countries like the Philippines, Vietnam, Burma for a while, and many countries became democratic. And unfortunately, China still remains under communism, and we truly suffer. And now it has spilled over to Hong Kong, which is horrible. And 2 years ago in Hong Kong, and they tried to do more or less the same. I don't think as many as 10,000, but roughly missing people, roughly about 5,000 to 6,000 people missing or dead. So some of the participants in the Hong Kong protest in 2019 actually came from mainland. It came from mainland, and once they catch them, they just secretly send them back to mainland, and their parents will lose all their job, and so on and so forth. It's group punishment, very popular with communism. So the two incidents, the June 4th Tiananmen and the Hong Kong protests. In both places, people died for freedom.
Yeah.
For freedom.
Young lives.
Of course, we blame the CCP, but we also have to blame partly the free world, led by U.S. The Tiananmen Square, right after that, George Bush sent his two very high national security advisors to Beijing and told Deng Xiaoping that business will go on as usual. We will make few criticism, and that's it. We're not going to continue to go. So what happened was, as you know, George Bush Sr. was from CIA. He gave a standing order, even valid today, not to help those students coming out of China who participated in the Tiananmen Square. So those kids, all they got is a little bit of help for personal living, but never got the help to overthrow the CCP.
That
you
is
understand?
shocking to know.
Yeah. It's still today developed. So that's why you can see, unfortunately, I mean, I know all of them. Most of them live in the States. And U.S. gave them good school. Lots of them finished school in Ivy Leagues. And they have some kind of living. But they wanted to overthrow the CCP. But then there was no help. You need resources. Right after June 4th that year, Hong Kong had 1.5 million people demonstrate on the street. Hong Kong at that time, we altogether were 6 million people. About 30 years ago, 6 million people. So 1/4 of people came out and demonstrate. And this became a tradition. Every year, June 4th, we have a gathering to commemorate the death in Tiananmen, in the Victoria Park in Hong Kong. It's just been going on for 31 years.
But why are the Hong Kong people so keen to do this? Why do they want to remember and not forget?
It's very natural because we receive the same education as UK here. So we have a kind of a lot of Christians too, Hong Kong. We have a lot of Christians, and we believe your neighbor's freedom is as important as your own. Because today, if you don't protest, tomorrow it will be your turn. So 31 years, never stopped. I was there last year. And whoever organized last year's event now is all arrested, thrown in prison, or every one of them. So and then they refused to issue permit for this year's gathering.
Using what excuse?
National security. They say, you are trying to overthrow the one-party government, right? So I've decided, I said, if you're going to do this, we are going to hold it online. So I've just finished producing a 3-hour program, right? And everybody can speak for this event. Pompeo, and then Wang Dan, Wu Erkai-shi, and Wang Juntao, all the people suffered. And then we have a U.S. congressman and so on and so forth. And then lots of music commemorating the event. But not only for that, I want to emphasize this time we are also linking it to the people who sacrificed in the 2019 protests in Hong Kong. So therefore the same thing. I think both sacrifices were for to get her freedom from a totalitarian government. It's a tyranny. We have to go every year. We have to do this, and it's nothing to do with China. It's really free. We want to fight for freedom from the tyranny, and that's the bottom line. No, Hong Kong is hopeless. Until CCP is disbanded, there will be no Hong Kong. Yeah, I told my kids and friends in Hong Kong, hopeless. I think 1 million people will come. I'm not kidding. Not 500,000. I think your government gets 500,000. I believe about 1 million. And this is get serious, maybe even 2. Everybody comes, say, at least with $1 million US dollars, right?
Yeah.
That's good money, and the bank will have a well capitalized, have more money to invest to help people. So it's not a bad idea. But one thing, BNO. I mean, those people born before 1997 were really they are British subjects, and they should be treated as first-class citizens. They should not be treated as second-class citizens. Seriously, I mean, they should have enjoy the same rights as a normal British citizen. So I'm helping them to get them visa-free for U.S. because I don't think UK can take so many people, because in the end it could be more than 1 million. So some of the younger people, it'd be better to go to the States. They have a better future. The economy here is still small. I mean, it's not bad, but still small compared to U.S.